So I haven't posted a video in quite a few weeks. That's because on Christmas Eve, we had to fly back to England for a family emergency. Those of you who know me well know my brother has always had heart problems his whole life, unfortunately. And on Christmas Eve, we got a phone call and it all kind of went pretty bad. It was a bit touch and go. So we flew out on emergency. We just got back on Saturday. He's been a bit more stable and he's been on a heart transplant list for quite some time. I just got a phone call today as of recording this that they actually have found him a heart, which is a bit of a Christmas miracle indeed. And they're operating as we speak. So I wish him well. He's in Cambridge Hospital, Papworth. Shout out to all the doctors and nurses there. Absolutely amazing. And I'm hoping and praying for a successful operation and so that he can get his ass back here and eat some of the food that we are cooking. So we thought we'll make a video today with what we have in the house because we also have a snowstorm here in Surrey, BC and Vancouver. So there's not much left in the house. So I've got some guanciale, some spaghetti, some eggs, and some Parmesan cheese. So we're gonna make some carbonara for New Year's, and I know he would like to eat that dish if he was here. So I'll dedicate this video to him and to all the doctors and nurses, and I am hoping and praying that everything goes well and that he can enjoy this with me one day. So let's get into this New Year's carbonara. This one should be tasty. Let's go.
So for this, we're gonna use a guanciale, which is the pig cheek or jowl. Track this down from your butchers, it's phenomenal. A big banding of fat, so we're going to take some off. We're going to need about 100 grams, I would say, in total. That's a generous amount for 2 portions. I mean, just look at the inside color of that. Unbelievable. Beautiful amount of fat, and that meat is delicious. I'm going to set aside all the bits that I do not need, and then I'm just going to cut off about 100 grams. That looks like 100 to me. And then we're going to take off some of this fat because we don't want too much in there. Do not throw that fat away. Save that, render it, roast it with potatoes, vegetables, or even some fish. It is delightful. It smells unreal. Now trim off a little bit more fat, and you roughly want about that much. What's that? About 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Then we're going to cut it into slices, not too thick, and then just dice it up. I think I've done this in about 4 pieces here. And then set the rest aside in your fridge. Now you don't need to be perfect with this because it's going to shrink a little bit when it cooks, but just dice it up roughly. If you can't track this down, use pancetta, but it really is not the same thing. Set this aside because we're going to render the fat out of this later. Okay, now we're going to need egg yolks. We're going to need 2 large egg yolks. You can put more in if you want it creamier, but I find roughly 1 yolk per person is a pretty good start. Give them a smash like this and just separate them however you like. I like to use a different method every time sometimes, so here I'm just using my hands, separating it in between. I'll put the yolks in one bowl and I will put the egg white in another. Make sure you have no shell. Repeat the process. Save those egg whites for breakfast, or if you're making meringues, you can also have a master batch. Okay, you're gonna set the egg whites aside, throw out the shells, give the board a little spray and clean down, and then we have our egg yolks. Now to this, I'm gonna add about 25 grams of aged Parmesan cheese. Normally I do a blend of pecorino, kind of like 60-40, but with the snowstorm, this is all we've got. So use what you have. Okay, combine the two and set this aside. Now we're going to render out the fat from that guanciale on a very kind of low medium heat. It's going to smoke up quite a bit. I've also got a pot of water on for my pasta, which I'm going to salt quite generously. Make sure you always add plenty of salt to your pasta water. Okay, now put in the guanciale. We'll do this pretty much in real time. Just render this out. You can see it's smoking already. I'm going to turn the heat down to low, turn it over individually for a few little bits, and just really let it render out. You can just see those jewels and nuggets of fat that are starting to go crispy. You're going to get a lot of fat that's going to come out of this as opposed to pancetta, but that's a good thing because we're going to use that. Okay, now once that's started to brown nicely, you can take a couple of bits out and put it into a bowl with a sieve just to make sure all the fat drains through. And then once you're happy with it, I think this was about 7 to 8 minutes, I think. You don't want to rush this process because you don't want to burn your guanciale. Pour it through a sieve into a bowl just to catch all the fat underneath, and then you've got your lovely nuggets of guanciale. Okay, we're going to set that aside. Now we're going to put the pasta in. I'm using a lovely spaghetti. About 150 grams for 2 people should do it. Cook it to the instructions on the pack. I think I cooked this for about 9 to 10 minutes, a little bit under to make it al dente. Okay, now I'm going to put all my egg yolk and Parmesan cheese with some pepper into a bigger bowl, which I guess I should have done first off, but hey. Whisk this all up, and then we're going to add in the fat from the guanciale as well. This will just help it go nice and creamy and emulsify. You can do this in a pan, but this is a nice little technique just to kind of foolproof it so you don't split your carbonara. Add a little bit of that pasta cooking water, just to get the party started and make it nice and silky and smooth. And then we're just going to test our pasta now. It should be done. Got a nice little bite to it. That looks good. Now ladle out some of the pasta water and set that aside just in case you need to emulsify your sauce later. Then we're going to drain off our spaghetti. Lovely, lovely. Lots of drainy there. And then we're going to put that straight into our egg yolk mixture. The heat from the pasta is enough to get everything emulsified. Add in your guanciale as well at this point. And then just start mixing it through first like this, and then you can toss your pasta just to get it nice and creamy. Add a little bit of that cooking water from the pasta as well, just to kind of thin it out and just to kind of get it nice and creamy and melt all that Parmesan cheese. Keep giving it a lovely toss like this, and then you're just going to taste some just to make sure if you need to add any salt or pepper. You shouldn't need any salt, but you probably will need a little bit of pepper. Okay, and then get a plate of your choice, and then we're just going to plate it up. It's as simple as that. You can do this in a pan as well, but this is a nice way to stop it from splitting. Okay, now just twirl it around if you want to be a little bit fancy in a ladle. Put it into your bowl and then spoon over some of the guanciale and some of that lovely sauce that you have. Add a nice little crack of black pepper over the top, and then finish it with some more Parmesan cheese. Now, normally, like I said, I would use pecorino because I feel it's a better flavor, but we don't have it. So there you have carbonara for the new year, a lovely little lunch dedicated to my brother. Enjoy.
So here's a beautiful carbonara that normally you would make with a bit of pecorino, but we've only got Parmesan in the house, so you got to use what you've got to use. So you can see, still quite creamy, even though I've had it sat out for a while. So we'll give it a little taste. Cheers. Carbonara is one of those lovely dishes, comforting, perfect for a cold winter day. And the guanciale is an essential thing you have to use. You can use pancetta, but it's not the same. Guanciale really does make a huge difference. Highly recommend it. If you've got a good butcher, track it down. Perfect dish for lunch. Tribute this one to my brother. Hope he gets well soon and has a successful operation. So, to everyone there at the hospital as well, thank you for looking out for him. Okay. If you like this content, please think about subscribing so we can grow this channel. I appreciate a lot of you that have already, and we shall keep you posted in the new year. Okay, good health everyone, stay well, love you all, take care, cheers.